Um, I had a very interesting conversation with a coworker regarding his hate of Uncle Joe. Conversation was pretty bizarre to say the least. Basically hated Joe Biden for no reason. I can't stand Joe Biden, but I have a reason, a verifiable, fact-based reason, not just my feelings. But essentially, my coworker hated Joe Biden because of his feelings, and I wonder where those feelings came from. That's what I wanted to talk about today. So I'm almost done. I should be done today, actually, with the project, my first flooring project, which is exciting because now I can do this room. This room is going to be pretty easy now that I have the experience. Here's where I'm at so far. So I've got some mistakes, but overall I'm happy with the results. Today, so I'm just doing the corner over here today. So I've got some gaps in the tiles, all learning curves. Here's what's left for today, which is the part I'm not looking forward to, which is tiling around the toilet. The toilet has been removed, of course. There's the tank over there, and the toilet's outside. So I just got to do one small tile here, another one there, and then I got to cut out the opening for the toilet. And then, anyway, so let's talk about this conversation I had today. Not today, it was actually yesterday, with a coworker who hates Joe Biden and for no reason. And again, I wouldn't say I hate Joe Biden because and that's the thing. That's interesting. I have a lot of disdain or negative feelings towards Joe Biden, but I could never say that I hate him because I don't know the guy personally, right? That's a strong emotion to have for someone that you don't actually know. I don't typically hate people that I don't know. I hate what Biden represents. I hate things that he's done, but I don't hate Joe Biden. So we were talking politics in the office, and the conversation came to Trump versus Biden. Now I live in a very blue city, and this is a very white collar office. The guy I was talking to is a mid-level manager, making a lot of money. He's up in the six figures for sure. And he made a statement to me that I found kind of interesting, where he said, something about, this, you can't stand Biden, and, the last 4 years has been just awful. It just keeps, like you see, you can't stand it anymore. So I found it interesting because he also stated that Joe Biden is really old and he is, he's not really doing anything, which is contradictory. So I'm like, if Joe Biden's just an old guy that's not really doing anything, then how is he bothering you so much? Like, what has been so horrible? So I asked him to articulate like what. Now, again, remember, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I have a lot of problems with Joe Biden, a lot, right? So I could articulate a lot of issues I have with him, but I'm curious to know, can this person do it? Because what they're saying is not adding up. He's not doing anything, but yet it's so horrible. So I'm like, what's horrible? And also consider this is a person who's making a lot of money, right? Just the kind of person that should enjoy a Joe Biden, a Joe Biden right-wing presidency, where it's, pro corporate, pro, donor class. Just give me 1 second. You know what I mean? Like he's really a conservative guy. Let the right-wing media tell it he's some hard left guy. If he was a hard left guy, he wouldn't be such friends with so many Republicans, calling them his buddy. Excuse me. Yeah. So when I asked him to articulate what was so horrible under the Joe Biden presidency, he was unable to tell me anything. And of course, he wouldn't be able to. Why on earth would somebody making good six figures in a blue city be so horrified by a Joe Biden presidency? What are you talking about? The stock market is record highs, right? He doesn't need. He's got great medical care from the company, right? We get great medical care, great benefits. We're paid very well, so we're not worried about putting food on the table. I mean, I got other issues going on, but that's just because of this whole house disaster. But you know, that's a choice that I took to take the risk of purchasing this house. If I wanted to just be a normal person, I could be living in a really nice house right now, living very, very comfortably, not worried about healthcare or any of this stuff. And he is that guy. He didn't do all of this. He just has a wife and he's got one kid maybe. He's got just a regular single family home. He's got this job with all his great benefits, and without the load that I've undertaken, he should have a lot of money in the bank, living very, very comfortably. And again, under Joe Biden, I mean, I know his 401k is looking nice, right? And the investments he made are looking nice. So it's just absurd for him to say, it's like he made it look like, oh my goodness, Trump may be weird, but just this Biden, man, the last 4 years have just been. And again, you're so upset with the Joe Biden presidency that you can't even articulate one thing. I don't think he gave me any. I don't think he gave me any examples of anything that why Joe Biden was bothering him so much. I mean, as someone who is very much involved in politics and definitely political media, I mean, I quickly come to the conclusion that he's just sort of, hate to say it, but typical American sheep. He's a product of the media he consumes. He's been watching, for the entire Joe Biden's term, clearly not progressive media who has some more valid critiques about Joe Biden, some critiques that are quantifiable. He's probably been watching some other type of media that's just been randomly saying, this is horrible and the country's falling apart and the economy and things were so great under Trump. Like, you just keep saying it over and over again. At some point in time, people start accepting it as reality. But then when you question them, like, why do you feel this way? They got nothing, because it's not a legit conclusion that they've arrived at. They are not looking at problems. They're not experiencing problems. And then they're saying that the reason for these problems is Joe Biden, because Joe Biden did this and Joe Biden did that. No, it's just a general, like, I hate him and the country's falling apart. It's just like, I mean, I think this is sort of a very important conversation to have, and, thing to really think about for a second. What brings a person to a position where they have such strong feelings against Joe Biden, but they're unable to articulate anything specific? It's just literally talking points from from a certain part of the media, right? You turn on Fox. I think he's a Fox News viewer, just because I don't think he's kind of older school, even though we're closer in age. I definitely get boomer vibes from him, so I just don't see him watching a lot of online stuff. So I think he's gonna be a mainstream media guy. He's too busy, taking care of his family and whatever and doing his thing. Is not really, engaged with politics like me. So he's gonna casually consume news media, and with the things he's saying, I don't think he's watching CNN and MSNBC, because they be telling him Joe Biden's the greatest guy ever. He's a best president. So I think he's watching some Fox News, and Fox News will just, they just randomly keep saying this. Things are horrible. Things are falling apart. And then if you're not really thinking about what you're being told, then you just sort of adopt this sort of rhetoric. And then in real life, in a conversation, you're like, oh man, things have been horrible under Joe Biden. And when you're asked why, you're just kind of like, I don't know, he's horrible. Man. My biggest complaint with Joe Biden is not doing enough and also lying to the American people, running on things that he wasn't really serious about, right? Talking a good game, we're gonna do this and that, and then he gets in office and it's a whole nother thing. And then when the polling gets bad, and all of a sudden he wants to try to do this and do that, and and the whole thing is it's not a genuine, like if people had fallen for the scam and his polls were good while he was in office, a lot of the stuff that a lot of progressives like to credit him with, he wouldn't have done, right? His hand was forced, because he's been trying to be president for his entire life. He was not gonna go down in flames. And when he won and he saw the polls dropping and dropping and dropping, he had to do something. So he did a couple of things that, again, you watch a person like Brian Tyler Cohen, he'll tell you all about all the bills he passed and this and that, and how the economy is great, and the record job creation and all this kind of stuff. But the reality is, again, you look at what he said before he was in office, and then once he got in office, you look at the transition, and I don't appreciate that, right? And I don't appreciate a lot of the fakery, the stuff in Gaza right now, pretending like he actually cares about what's happening there, and trying to pretend like he's doing his best and his hands are tied when he's overtly participating in what's happening there, right? We're sending them weapons they don't need. We're sending them money they don't need. It's a wealthy country. I mean, the least you can do, if you want to claim like he's doing his best, the least he can do is not send them weapons that they don't need, right? So I don't appreciate the deception. I don't appreciate the lies. I don't appreciate running on something and then you get in office, you do something else. And then when you get desperate, then you try to do stuff. No, I don't appreciate that, right? So I will critique Joe Biden for what he's actually done. And one critique I can't have, because I live in reality, is not that I can't say that he's destroyed this country and things are falling apart. And ever since he's been in office, oh my goodness. No, I mean, the reality is someone who is very much against Donald Trump. I would never put Donald Trump anywhere near to Joe Biden. Trump is much more problematic, to say the least. But you know, Trump being president versus Biden being president, the experience is not that much difference, right? My life has not changed much between Trump versus Biden. Now, because I don't only think about myself, I realize that there's a lot of stuff Trump did that has a lot of effect to a lot of other people, and that concerns me. But the reality is, it's pretty much the biggest thing from when Trump was president is, you know, I just can't, I have to keep hearing about him all the time, and he said something stupid and blah blah blah. It's also embarrassing, as a country, that this is our president. But and of course, people would say, isn't it embarrassing with Biden? Yeah, it's embarrassing with Biden. Well, not on that level. Biden embarrassment is just mainly, he's an old guy, as is Trump. But with Trump, he's an old guy who's also sort of a huckster and also sort of a buffoon, right? I'd much rather have a president who, is super old, and because they're old, they do things that old people do, and it may be embarrassing, but it's kind of like, okay, he's an old guy, versus having a guy who's also very old and doing old people stuff. Well, on top of that, he's also a buffoon, crazy guy who is just like a huckster. Like, that's a really embarrassing place to be. But anyway, I just thought I would share that with you guys. Tell me what your thoughts are. What are your comments on that? Why is it that my coworker has such negative feelings about Joe Biden and yet couldn't articulate anything? And this is not unusual. It was interesting for me to experience it in real life. This is me offline, my life interacting with someone who's saying this stuff, getting to challenge them and seeing the responses or lack thereof. But I've seen this on many of these, a lot of the left wing channels. They love to do this, like, interview some MAGA guy, some MAGA crazy guy, and watch him say stupid stuff. So I've seen this before many, many times where they'll say things are so horrible and this and that. When you ask them to articulate, they get stuck. You know, all they have to say is the talking points that were handed to them by elites in the media they consume. And this is what I think my coworker did, and it's sad. This is the This is the baby channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Let me get back to work. I think actually my painter is here. Just try to call me. Possibly somebody called me. Anyway, again, I want to hear your thoughts. Comment below. Until next time. Happy Saturday. Enjoy your weekend.